The world is currently in the middle of an artificial intelligence race. The United States is building the models. China is building alternatives. And Europe is writing the rules. But where does Africa fit in? Is the region building the technologies that will shape the future, or is it simply becoming a customer in someone else's digital economy? This question became even more relevant when a planned $1 billion artificial intelligence data center in Kenya stalled. At first glance, it looked like East Africa had just lost one of the biggest technology investments in its history. But did Kenya stall progress, or was it protecting its future? And more importantly, what does this reveal about East Africa's place in the global AI revolution? In 2024, Microsoft and Abu Dhabi-based AI company G42 announced to build a geothermal-powered AI data center in Kenya's Rift Valley. The project was ambitious. The first phase alone would require 100 megawatts of electricity, with long-term plans to scale it up to 1 gigawatt. For perspective, Kenya's entire installed electricity capacity stands at 3,192 megawatts. A fully operational 1 gigawatt facility could consume roughly a third of the country's total power capacity. President William Ruto put it even more bluntly. To power the facility at full scale, Kenya would effectively need to switch off electricity for nearly half of the country. Faced with these realities, the Kenyan government declined Microsoft's request. But this story is bigger than one project. It raises a fundamental question about East Africa's digital future. When global technology giants come knocking with billion-dollar investments, are East African countries building their own digital economies, or are they becoming hosts for infrastructure that they do not control? To understand the debate, we first need to understand why companies like Microsoft want to invest in the region. Today, much of Africa's digital activity relies on servers located in Europe, the Middle East, or North America. Every cloud request, online transaction, and AI-powered service often travels thousands of kilometers before reaching a data center. That means slower speeds, higher costs, and greater dependency on infrastructure located beyond Africa's borders. A Microsoft Azure region in East Africa would certainly change that. Businesses would be able to access cloud services faster. Governments, hospitals, banks, and telecom companies could store sensitive data closer to home. Developers would gain easier access to the computing power needed to build digital products and AI applications. The investment would also create jobs in cloud engineering, cybersecurity, data center operations, and artificial intelligence development. In many ways, the project appeared to offer exactly what East Africa needs. Yet hosting foreign-owned infrastructure is not the same as building technological capacity. The concerns go beyond electricity consumption alone. Data centers are increasingly built where energy is cheapest and most reliable. Are East African countries at risk of becoming suppliers of land, energy, and data, while the highest value parts of the AI economy, that is ownership of platforms, intellectual property, advanced AI models, and profits, remain concentrated abroad? In other words, if the servers are foreign-owned, the cloud platforms are foreign-owned, and the artificial intelligence models running on them are foreign-owned, then who ultimately controls the digital future? The concern stretches to whether East Africa is capturing enough value from that investment to build its own digital capabilities, rather than merely providing the resources that power someone else's technological ambitions. Across the entire continent, there are only about 259 operation data centers, representing less than 1% of global data center capacity. Kenya leads East Africa with 19 facilities, Tanzania has 11, Rwanda has 3, Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo each have 4, This shortage means much of Africa's digital economy still depends on servers located thousands of kilometers away. Yet the solution may not simply be building more giant facilities. Experts increasingly warn that Africa cannot afford to copy the hyperscale model being used in the United States and China. In Rwanda, for example, total electricity generation capacity is roughly 406 megawatts. A single 100 megawatt AI facility could consume nearly a third of the country's available power. This is why some analysts advocate for a different approach. Smaller distributed data centers built closer to renewable energy sources such as geothermal and solar plants. At the same time, it would be inaccurate to suggest that East Africa is sitting on the sidelines of the AI revolution. In fact, Kenya has emerged as one of Africa's leading AI markets. More than 42% of Kenyan internet users are already using AI tools, far ahead of many countries on the continent. The country launched its national AI strategy in 2025, committing over $1 billion toward digital infrastructure, AI research, innovation, and governance. Nairobi has become East Africa's technology capital, attracting some of the world's biggest players. Google operates an AI research center in the city, working on solutions ranging from public health to climate resilience. IBM Research Africa also runs its flagship innovation hub there, focusing on artificial intelligence, machine learning, food security, water management, and public service delivery. The East African community recently adopted an AI strategy covering the period from 2026 to 2031. It aims to harmonize data governance, establish centers of excellence, strengthen research capacity, and promote homegrown applications in sectors such as agriculture and healthcare. In March 2026, the East African Community AI Alliance was launched in Kigali, bringing together all 7 partner states to collaborate on AI research, innovation, skills development, and ethical governance. Meanwhile, Rwanda has approved the establishment of a national artificial intelligence center to drive innovation, attract investment, and accelerate the country's transition toward a knowledge-based economy. These developments suggest that East Africa does not want to be left behind, but there is still a difference between adopting AI and creating it. Today, most AI systems used across Africa are trained on data collected elsewhere. Many struggle to understand African cultures, languages, and contexts. As a result, African users often rely on technologies designed primarily for other societies. That is why some experts argue that East Africa's greatest opportunity lies not in competing with Silicon Valley or Beijing on massive infrastructure projects, but in building locally relevant AI ecosystems. M-Pesa transformed mobile money not because it copied a Western model, but because it solved a uniquely African challenge. Artificial intelligence could follow a similar path, and that is perhaps the biggest lesson from Kenya's stalled Microsoft project. The debate is not simply about a data center. It is about who is consuming what product and who is building it.